The Dinosaur Safari Park had now been established for a couple of months, and each time it got expanded, attracting more and more visitors. Not everything went as smooth as hoped, since the Troodon incident left the caretakers with a pen that was simply too large for the animals. Though originally it was planned to relocate the Troodon, instead it was decided upon to combine the largest dinosaurs they could get their hands on to ensure that they could live in the same space. It would black out the neighboring dinosaurs a bit, maybe even taking away from the popular Velociraptor. They were still a very popular attraction during night safaris though. Since the pen of the Troodon was so large, having something like the Brachiosaurus would be perfect. They demanded a lot of space, and just a handful could already make the pen seem stocked. It would take a few days to get ready for transport, and in the meantime, the next zone after the Allosaurus was likewise being prepared. The Allosaurus zone, of course, had a bittersweet feeling to it after the unsuccessful pairing of the couple, as the park creators wanted to recreate the popularity of the Baryonyx couple. Two Brachiosaurus were first being flown over, just to see how they would do and how they would cope with the Troodon. The pen seemed perfect for them. Though they were incredibly large, they had so much room to move in that one could see it from their car up close or afar. The open field gave them good visibility all throughout the park, even being able to see the entrance. They indeed did not seem to care about the Troodon, and the little carnivores would skitter away once they sensed the ground shaking as one giant herbivore got near. As this initial test was a success, more Brachiosaurus were scheduled to be added, but one scientist noted that they should add another herbivore similar, but one that was never before seen in the park. The Dreadnoughtus was a humongous dinosaur, deserving of its name. It was beautiful and elegant, with a body similar to that of a Brachiosaurus and a head similar to that of a Camarasaurus. Though the scientists initially were very enthusiastic about this latest addition, some heads of divisions raised an eyebrow. Why was this creature never listed on any report before? It was a similar situation with the Troodon that got ignored earlier. It was scheduled to have 3 of the giant beasts being flown over once they had been tranked, and in the meantime, more information was gathered at the substation at which all the dinosaurs would undergo inspection before being allowed into the safari park. The information gathered hinted at that these Dreadnoughtus did not originate from any of the wild areas previously located, like the swamp area, the plains, or Isle Cloud 9. Instead, it was hinted at that it originated from an area called Site 10 Location E. The scientists scratched the back of their heads and agreed that someone had to get over there to find out more. One of them volunteered and left for several days. The Dreadnoughtus were an instant hit. The differences with the Brachiosaurus could clearly be seen, and the fact that their brethren of the Camarasaurus were so close by helped as well. A thing that was interesting is that seemingly the dinosaurs prefer to walk along the paved road, making it a bit tricky for drivers to traverse, though at least they weren't very fast creatures. The warmth of the road by the sun probably felt pleasant as they walked over it. It did get the expected effect that the huge herbivores took the shine away from the raptors and definitely from the Camarasaurus right next to them. For the next pen behind the Allosaurus zone, another dinosaur was recommended that was not listed on any documents before. What was going on? One of the head scientists scratched the planned deployment of the hybrid for now until more clarity could be found on this situation. The Iguanodon was an innocent and beautiful creature. Though at first glance, they might resemble some of the species that could be found amongst a giant herd, in reality, they like to stick to their own group. They had long claws comparable to the position of a thumb, where they would use it for multiple purposes. The primary reason to have them was for protection, as they could really hurt any approaching predator, as they could easily stand on two legs and slash them at the neck. But other than that, it would be used to dig up dirt to eat insects or extract tree sap underneath tree bark. 5 Iguanodon were scheduled to be flown over, and they were true beauties. Since they relied so heavily on their group, it did not take long before an alpha was chosen, and the drinking spot and eating spot were separated on purpose to ensure enough movement was going on throughout the zone. The way they ate at the feeder was enticing, almost resembling monkeys or humanoids in a weird way, where they would grab the leaves and bring it to their beaks to crunch it up. Feeding time for the Iguanodon became a popular attraction at the safari park. Though the food and water spot were separated to motivate movement, in truth, the group moved as one, kinda defeating the purpose. They could often be found on one side or the other. And sometimes they would socialize on the road itself, creating rare opportunities for visitors to get a group shot of them up close. They weren't very jittering, so an approaching car would not scare them easily. With the Iguanodon zone turning out into a popular site, it was time once again to introduce a new zone. The park had quite a lot of diversity already, but it was getting a bit packed. Not too many zones could still be built. This one was a fairly small one, with a U-turn, similar to that of the Allosaurus zone. To keep a motive going, it was requested by the higher-ups that a carnivore would be put here, and this time, one was recommended that could actually act as a couple. And once again, and by now not to the surprise of the head scientist anymore, it was a dinosaur not listed before. Something weird was going on at whatever Site 10 Location E was. For this zone, the Carcharodontosaurus was chosen. This meat-eater was quite big, and had a very scary looking face, as did it have scary and menacing looking spikes all over its body. But in reality, its personality and behavior was a lot more relaxed, though playful, compared to an Allosaurus. According to the rangers, they should be able to coexist within the same pen that visitors were allowed. The two dinosaurs were flown over, and as with the Iguanodon zone, they tried once again to motivate movement by separating eating zone and drinking zone. The two were fascinating to behold. Their snouts were really slim, with peeling eyes that combined with long teeth made it seem as if they had an evil gloom or smile about them. But it was indeed true what the rangers said, as they seemed very playful. They rarely would walk somewhere slowly, as they often played with each other or ran around to explore. There was a clear hierarchy, however. The alpha of the two did not play around, and when she was hungry, the other one better leave the feeding zone, as she demanded her peace and quiet. It even got to the point, with how playful they were, that it seemed like they were playing hide-and-seek with the rangers who drove inside to test if it was appropriate for visitors to see. They seemed very interested in the car. They were both swirling around it, creating some great photo opportunities, but also some pretty hazardous areas due to the fact that they were stomping around so quickly. If they actually hit the car, the results would be devastating. But it never got to that, and it seemed that the dinosaurs did their best to keep at least at a distance. they were just being playful. Even when the rangers headed back to the station, the two carnivores still wanted to play with them, seemingly a bit sad that their play buddy had left them. And so, the park grew and grew. Not many more zones could be added, but when it would be finished, it would be a gorgeous park, attracting visitors from all over the globe.